does a person have to be religious in order to be spiritual?
You have to be religious to be spiritual. The answer is no, you don't. I think it's pretty straightforward. Anyone can be spiritual in whatever way they want to be. I think once again this goes back to what defines religion. What is religion? What does
Hmm.
religion mean? I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
you know. So being spiritual, I think also what does being spiritual mean? So these are all definitions and very broad terms that I think every single person translates differently.
I do agree with you that it's all an individual journey. So just because I have a different belief than you or anybody else or whatever it is, um, that doesn't necessarily make me a different person in the sense of like, let's put it this way. I think spirituality is something that bonds us in a sense. We all have an understanding of a higher, greater power, a greater purpose. Next week we're going to talk about a higher version of ourselves that we're all trying to perfect and become better or whatever it is. I think that is something that actually unifies us in a sense. And just because there are individuals of another faith or individuals of another belief or individuals that live different lifestyles or whatever the case may be, I see that spirituality component as the unifier because of it have how much of a journey it is. I think religion has a bad rap in the world in the sense of organized religion or whatever it is that here's this organized system that everybody just has to kind of follow. Here's a book of rules, do's and don'ts, and you kind of have to do this and that. Because I had my fair share of struggles with that. I'm a very person who doesn't like authority, so don't tell me what to do. That's not going to work for me. Um, but in that sense, it did take me a journey of highlighting my spirituality first to be able actually to marry it to my understanding of my religion. And today, it's still a struggle, it's still a journey, it's still a whatever. But I think religion is something I practice versus spirituality, something I'm more existing. I am spiritual. So it's more of a being and it's more of, my entity, if you will, who I relate to. And then it's the religion that I'm practicing and I'm growing and I'm just hopefully, whatever I could do it to the best of my ability. That to me is my answer to that own question. Feel free to expand or take it as you will.
So I think, and this could be a totally broad, painting, a very large crowd with a broad brush, so to speak. But I think that most people in a religion would be religious without being spiritual,
Right.
because if you take the word spiritual and you break it down, it really means to have spirit, and spirit really is to have a atmos. But what is spirit? To
Essence.
have
Individuality.
um,
You're
to be soulful. I guess that's the
mm,
right way to put it.
okay.
That's to be spiritual. Spirit, soul. I guess they're related words. It's a good way to put it.
Mm,
To have a soulful energy about stuff, to have a lively spirit about something. I guess the
mm,
opposite of something that's a spirit is something that's maybe dead.
mm.
Yeah.
So spirit means
I
something
like
that's
that.
alive.
Yeah.
Anything alive has a spirit.
Mhm. Right.
Um,
Wow. Oh man.
if you
I
give a
like that.
ghost a spirit, then it's an alive ghost, right? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that if you met somebody and you vibed with them and you felt their energy, you would feel some sort of spirituality in that moment because there is a
Mm,
spirit of connection.
yeah.
There's a spirit of communication. There's energies flowing, and there's that back and forth that's going on there. When someone is religious without spirituality, they're essentially checking off to do boxes.
They're dead.
Um, yeah, because they're just doing
Yeah.
something without spirit. You're just following a guidebook, which is beautiful,
Mm,
maybe in the army or whatever it is, but even there, they demand a sense of spirit.
Yeah.
Because
mm,
without spirit, there's no brains, there's no reason for what you're doing. If someone sent a soldier out into the field without having any spirit for the army, there wouldn't necessarily be any ideals or any reasons to make any specific
right.
decisions if they were put in that place to do that. And for Judaism, particularly, the Hasidic movement was brought in order to bring life to the spirit of
Mm,
Judaism. the spirit that could have been lost over many years, or maybe just never came into this world for thousands of years.
Right.
And many Jews had to live in different spaces of confinement or being attacked.
She's trying so hard not to look at.
I know I have to do it. I'm sorry, guys. No, but you are. Tzvi, keep going. You're on a roll.
Going, Tzvi.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime. But yeah, I mean, this is just my personal analysis, because I've thought of this in the past. Jews had to run from point A to point B all of their lives, and this is really not just Jewish people. I think the whole world is in this space of chaos for thousands of years, because this guy was fighting that guy and that guy was fighting that guy. And honestly, I think it could have been figured out with one WhatsApp message. We didn't have WhatsApp, so honestly, think about it. If you wanted to say to somebody like, "Hey, dude, like, chillax, it's gonna be cool," LOL. You can't do that. You have to send somebody to travel for a month to do that stupid little paper. So yeah, that makes wars. That's kind of how that works. Bad communication. Bad communication equals everything else. So I think we've come to this place, and this is definitely in part thanks to technology. And I think it all has to do with this, new, more healthy world that we're approaching, and I think living out of. And that's really what that's really what the Hasidic movement came to deploy. And it wasn't really available till then, because people were too busy running around from this guy to that guy. And when things started settling down, it was like, okay, now I think it's time we can start embodying spirit. I think we can bring life to what we're doing, and not just having to attach yourself to a group for the sake of survival.
Right. Wow.
I don't think we're in that survival space as much anymore, thank God. So
I
think
love,
we're able
love
to
that analysis.
Yeah.
Wow. That is really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm mind blown, honestly.
I'm easily watching the replay to hear what did I say? But it's so awesome, because like a lot of what you said there ties into what we spoke about previously, how wars were fought because of religion. But I don't think there's ever been a single war that has been fought because of spirituality. It's more like, hey, let me destroy you and kill you because you don't agree with my practices. But if they just connected on the spiritual level, there you go, there wouldn't have been war. Exactly. But not only that, like when the Hasidic movement started coming around, like there was that opposition who were they were called the opposition. Right. And I was listening to, I don't know if it was a podcast or a class recently, and he basically was saying that the opposition wasn't to the people, it wasn't to the Hasidic people, it was to the thought process, or it was really more against this new way of doing things. Like how can you change things that we've been doing for thousands of years, because it was new. And this is also right after the whole the fake Messiah situation. But it was like, that was an interesting insight, that it wasn't against the person, it was against like our way of doing things, our religion. It was almost an attack on the religion.